what can derail the 49ers now? Or what can derail them now? I think this is a tough conversation to have, much like when we were 5-0, conversations of going undefeated and all those things were happening. We get very excited in the moment, myself included. I'm a fan just like you guys, so I'm not removing myself from that excitement. I was right there with you, if not leading that charge when the 49ers were 5-0. But I think these are the times that we really have to look at it and say, okay, what can derail this thing from happening? Because right now, we talk about, hey, this is the best team in the league. We talk about we got 2 MVP candidates. One of the other topics we were going to talk about that we didn't get to was Shanahan Coach of the Year, which you could make that argument. Obviously, Wilkes has turned things around. Everybody's in love with him. The roster's stacked. They're healthy. Everything is going perfect right now. They just beat the crap out of the Eagles and are about to go through the toughest span in their schedule, 4-0, with 4 potential blowouts. But we know that seasons get tough. We know that things will get tough at some point, and they are going to have to win tough games. What can derail this team, Ryan? Like, just trying to foreshadow, what are things that the 49ers need to look out for to make sure don't happen while they are riding high, to make sure that they can continue this trend that they're on?
There's 2 things. The first one to me is Kyle Shanahan just doing too much, getting in his own head, outthinking himself. I don't think I have more confidence in Kyle Shanahan this year than I've ever had. So I'm not too worried about that, but we have seen in the past, in the playoffs, he kind of just folds in certain situations. But that's really not the one that I'm worried about. I think it's pretty obvious, and I'll knock on wood for you guys. I'm not a superstitious person. I don't think when I say things, it magically happens. But it's injuries, man. There's no question that it's injuries, particularly Brock Purdy and CMC. Those 2 guys, Trent Williams, that's number 3. Maybe Debo's in there. Fred Warner. If you lose those guys, it's a different team. So that's really what it boils down to. I know people are saying complacency. These 49ers are going to be ready for the playoffs. They're not going to be complacent in the playoffs. So I'm not worried about that at all. It's just injuries. They got to stay healthy. And so I know we had another subject we were going to talk about, but this is related to that. What I would like to see them do moving forward is at every opportunity, take your starters out. Take those guys out and give them rest as soon as you can, as often as you can. Mix it up with CMC and Elijah Mitchell. When the game's in hand, pull Purdy out of there, pull Trent Williams out of there, pull Fred Warner out of there, because we need these guys to be healthy in the playoffs to get that 6th Lombardi.
I agree with that. And, we talked about the MVP award and how it probably doesn't. I mean, it would mean something to guys like Brock and CMC, but not as much as hoisting the Lombardi. Kyle Shanahan, I'm trying to think back when that record was on the line and that game was out of hand against Jacksonville. Kyle Shanahan did everything he could to keep that record going for CMC, which in the moment was, I was for it. Hey, let's keep it going. Whatever. It might be a little bush league, but if we can keep it going, let's do it. What I don't want to see is we get to these final few games and these guys are pushing for MVPs and he's leaving these guys in to get the stats so that they can continue to be in that conversation. I don't want to see that happen. And if they don't have the number 1 seed going into that final week against the Rams,
rest them all.
Just rest them. This team, in my opinion, needs that bye week. It is so crucial. I've been talking about it all season, all off season. I've probably said it 1,000 times. Anybody who watches this channel on a regular basis can almost guarantee, if you want to play a drinking game, drink every time Jesse talks about the bye week, because it happens almost every single show and has all season long, and it will continue to happen. Bye week is that crucial for this team because health is that crucial. Not because I'm worried about them going on the road. If they had a choice, and I think this would be fun, do this for NFL teams. I think because back in the day, they had 6 teams that made the playoffs. You have the top 2 would get a bye week. Now, if you were to say, okay, the number 1 seed gets their choice of a bye or home field advantage, the number 2 team gets whatever the number 1 team did not choose. So if the number 1 team chooses the bye, Number 2 team gets home field advantage, vice versa. I think that would be a lot of fun. But if that were a thing, I think the 49ers would choose the bye. They don't care about playing on the road in Philadelphia. Playing on the road in Philadelphia is not the deterrent to getting the number 1 seed or not getting it. That is not the downside. The downside is not being fully healthy, as Ryan talked about, and rested. This team is an older team. They need the rest. So if they are not going to get it through the bye week, that's okay. Get it by giving yourself a bye week in week 18. Maybe play your guys for a quarter or something like that, just so they're sharp. I understand that. But after that, sit them. Take the loss, if that's what it ends up being, and get out of there healthy and ready for the playoffs. That, I think, would be crucial for this team. So however they do it, whether it's week 18 or it's actually getting the number 1 seed, that is all I care about, is that bye week. And staying healthy is the overarching thing. That is the only thing that is going to derail this team. Maybe there's a team that just outright beats them. Okay, that's fine. But I don't think that it's going to be, they're not going to lose because of talent. I don't think they're going to lose because they're outcoached or they're outgunned on offense or any of those things. When I look at the landscape of the NFL, I think this team certainly can beat anybody. Health will ruin things quickly. And I look at somebody like Armstead, rest him this week. He's got I understood last week. It was all hands on deck. You're playing the Eagles. You got a chance to the number 1 seed. You got to get I understood all of that. The Seahawks are not that. This game is not that. Armstead had a foot thing going into the game. He left with a foot thing and now has added a knee thing. We don't know what those are. That's the technical term, is foot and knee thing. But we know that he's now added on to whatever his injuries were and was unable to finish that game because of it. Rest him. He is crucial to this team. Rest him this week, maybe the week after if you have to. Rest him as long as you need to make sure that he's as healthy as he can be. And do that for anybody else that gets injured if you have to. Now that you're in the playoffs, really nothing else matters other than health. I'm with you 100%. That is the only thing, in my opinion, that can derail them.
Can I just real quick on that one? You brought up Armstead. Somebody that's not being talked about enough this year is Javon Kinlaw, man. He was barely able to see the field throughout his career. This year, he's been healthy the entire time, and he's being a positive contributor. He played really well in that Eagles game. And so, like you said, rest Armstead, pop in Kinlaw for him and give him some time because he's doing good things. But again, this all boils down to health. Part of the reason they've been so successful this year is health. When they went on their skid, that's when guys were beat up. So it's all about the health. I love seeing that they're healthy. And my knock on wood again. Hopefully it stays that way. But yeah, amen to that. That's what it's about.